How powerful an African country can be. What if it stands against the oppressor and declares it will stand with the oppressed no matter what happens? Well, until now, we have been seeing Israel bombing and killing Palestinians in Gaza. The conflict indeed started when Hamas attacked Israel. However, after that, Israel got an excuse to wipe off what stands in Gaza. The world saw what Israel was doing and stayed silent. However, we saw something interesting. South Africa openly declared its support for Palestine and said it would bring Israel to the International Court of Justice. Everyone thought it was just bluffing until now, when South Africa did drag Israel into the ICJ. It appeared that South Africa was alone, but just recently, we saw many powerful countries standing alongside South Africa in the International Court of Justice. So, what happened in the ICJ that has created shockwaves in Israel and worldwide? Let's find out. So, what has happened just now? During a session at the International Court of Justice on 11th January, South Africa accused Israel of committing genocidal acts against Palestinians. You should know that South Africa is the only country in the world that is standing against the killings going on in Gaza and has formally gone to the ICJ against Israel. It called on the UN's top court to issue an emergency suspension of Israel's military campaign in Gaza. On the first day of hearings, Thembeka Nchukaitobi, an advocate from the High Court of South Africa, claimed that Israel's aerial and ground offensive was aimed at the destruction of the population in Gaza. Nchukaitobi argued that the intent to destroy Gaza was endorsed at the highest state level, calling political and military leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as genocidal inciters. Israel strongly denied these allegations, dismissing them as false and baseless. Israel accused South Africa of aligning with Hamas, the Palestinian militant group in conflict with Israel in Gaza, and labeled South Africa as the advocate of the devil for Hamas. You see, both countries are labeling each other, which points toward a journey full of tensions ahead. South Africa highlighted Israel's sustained bombing campaign, allegedly causing the deaths of over 23,000 people, according to health authorities in Gaza. The ICJ's legal team referenced statements by Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who, early in the war, declared that Israel would impose a total blockade as part of the battle against human animals. Here, it becomes quite clear what Israel is doing and plans to do. Because Israel faced no resistance, it continued the killings. Not only that, but in the United Nations, all resolutions focusing on a permanent ceasefire were vetoed by Israel's ally, the United States of America. This further encouraged Israel, creating an atmosphere where its actions could not be held accountable. It was at this time that South Africa decided to rise and become the only country to stop what Israel was doing. Thembeka Nchukaitobi argued that the evidence of genocidal intent is not only chilling, but also overwhelming and indisputable. You should know that the 1948 Genocide Convention, enacted after the Nazi Holocaust, defines genocide as acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. After knowing this, it becomes clear to decide what Israel is doing. Yet Israel maintains its innocence, rejecting the allegations of genocide. But what position does South Africa maintain? The 84-page submission from South Africa asserts that Israel violated the 1948 Genocide Convention, a treaty established in the aftermath of World War II and the Holocaust. Both Israel and South Africa are signatories to the United Nations Genocide Convention, providing the International Court of Justice with jurisdiction to address disputes related to the treaty. You should know that signatory states are obligated to refrain from committing genocide and to take measures to prevent and punish it. But is South Africa alone in the ICJ against Israel? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. Initially, when South Africa announced to go to the ICJ and bring Israel there, it was alone. No other state dared to rise and file a case against Israel in the ICJ. However, as South Africa has officially reached the ICJ and the hearing has started, various countries have announced that they will stand beside South Africa and support the case it brought to the court. The Organization of Islamic Countries, OIC, which contains 57 states, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, and Morocco, explicitly supported the case on December 30. After that, the Malaysian Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a statement on January 2nd welcoming South Africa's application, repeating the call for an independent Palestinian state based on pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. On January 3rd, Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Onku Keçeli also posted a statement welcoming South Africa's move, followed by Jordan, whose foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, announced on January 4th that Jordan would back South Africa. Bolivia's Foreign Affairs Ministry termed South Africa's move as historic, becoming the first Latin American country to support the ICJ case against Israel. Later, during a UN General Assembly session, the Maldives, Namibia, and Pakistan expressed their full support for the genocide case filed by South Africa. One after another, more countries supported South Africa's will to fight the case. Therefore, the Arab League, which contains 22 states, affirmed its support for the South African case on Wednesday in a statement posted by Secretary General Ahmed Aboulgaye. What's more, the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of Colombia and Brazil individually expressed their country's support for South Africa's case. On January 9th, Belgium Deputy Prime Minister Petra de Sutter expressed support for the suit, urging her government to take action against the threat of genocide in Gaza. On January 10th, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also expressed support for the lawsuit, emphasizing the need for Israel to immediately cease all acts that may constitute genocide. Besides these countries, the lawsuit has gotten support from over 1,000 activist groups, political parties, unions, and organizations, including Progressive International, Code Pink, World Beyond War, Roots Action, International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network, the People's Forum, Nelson Mandela Foundation, and Jewish Voice for Peace. You see, South Africa is not alone in its resistance to stop Israel from continuing killings in Gaza. But how will the ICJ decide the case, and what the verdict can look like? That's a tricky question. To understand this, you have to know how the ICJ works and whether it has the power to enforce verdicts. The International Court of Justice is composed of 15 judges who serve 9-year terms. They are appointed through simultaneous elections at the United Nations General Assembly and the UN Security Council. While each country can propose candidates, no two judges can come from the same nation. The current bench reflects diversity with judges from various regions, including France, Slovakia, Somalia, Russia, China, the US, Lebanon, and India. To select a president and vice president, the judges participate in a secret ballot. Presently, President Joan E. Donoghue of the United States leads the ICJ alongside Vice President Kirill Gevorgyan of Russia, and both of their terms expire in February. The reason why knowing their nationalities is important is that it impacts the verdict they give. Despite expectations for ICJ judges to maintain impartiality and not act as extensions of their respective countries, instances of alignment with national politics have occurred. Therefore, the verdict will depend on what the countries from which the judges have been elected want on the case. There are fewer chances that the judge from the US would declare what Israel is doing as a genocide, because the US does not think it is a genocide. In the case between Israel and South Africa, each country can appoint one ad hoc judge to join. The bench since neither is currently represented. Israel has chosen Aharon Barak, a former Supreme Court Chief Justice, while South Africa has appointed Dikgang Moseneke, a former Deputy Chief Justice. While it remains uncertain if Israel will dispute the ICJ's jurisdiction, the court's judgments are legally binding and cannot be appealed. However, the ICJ lacks real enforcement power. For example, if the ICJ gives a verdict against Israel and orders to stop the military actions, Israel has the option of not complying. If it does not comply, South Africa can turn to the UN Security Council for enforcement. Yet again, the US, a staunch supporter of Israel, holds veto power as a permanent member of the Security Council, posing a potential obstacle and raising concerns about the effectiveness of an adverse judgment. No matter what the verdict is, and whether Israel complies with it or not, the fight South Africa is fighting, and how countries are supporting it shows that Israel can no longer continue what it is doing. What do you think? Did South Africa do right by taking Israel to the International Court of Justice? Do you believe Israel will be charged with committing genocide, as South Africa accuses? In the comment section right below, let us know your thoughts on how South Africa will use its power to really make Israel accountable. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.